Welcome back. This should be our final video for Unit 1, Introduction to Chemistry. We'll discuss the essential math of chemistry. Even artists like Da Vinci understood the importance of math when he said, "No human endeavor can be called science if it cannot be demonstrated mathematically." Wow, pretty deep, huh? All right, let's get into this math stuff. So, well, if we had labs, I would have given you some advice on how to pick a lab partner, and I think this cartoon shows pretty clearly how to pick the best lab partner. Here I am in science lab, and I've had it. Science is my very worst subject. I'm doomed. I just hope I get a lab partner who knows what he's doing. And then, of course, he's home free. He's got a good partner, right? Hey, when you get a chance to work with other people, when you pick your own partners, you know, your friend might be a good pick, but maybe pick somebody who has strengths that you don't have. You possess some skills, and they might possess other skills, and you might balance each other out very nicely. So that's more an important thing to think about, like when you're studying with somebody else. If you don't know what's going on and they don't know what's going on, probably not a good partner to study with as well. Find somebody who's pretty good at it. Maybe you can help them in one subject and they can help you with a different subject. Or maybe you understand one portion of it very well but not something else. And so pick wisely. All right. So we mentioned when some of you turned in your sheet on the real world chemistry one for widgets and whatsits, you did not have the right units. You just put numbers on there. And it says the importance of units. Units must be carried into the answer unless they cancel. You have to show me the full setup, right? So if I take a math expression like this and try to solve it, I can do the math on my calculator. 5.2 times 2.9 divided by 18 divided by 1.3. And that will give me a number, 0.64. Now the unit here is kilogram times meter divided by second squared. So I'd say kilogram. It looks like a minus. It sort of messed up on my thing. It's kilogram times meter per second squared. That would be what's called a derived unit. Let's try this one. I've got a kilogram, second, second, second. So it turns out that the math, 4.8 times 23 divided by 5.2 divided by 37, is easy. Now it turns out that one of the seconds on top and one of the seconds on the bottom cancel, so I'm left with just a unit of kilogram per second for my final unit on that. Let's talk about some basic algebra. That's the rigor of the math that you have to be able to do. So if I want to solve this thing for x, well, I would simply subtract a y from both sides. Right? I'm not a math teacher, but I think you can figure that out. So if you subtract a y from both sides, the y's cancel, and you're left with x is z minus y. Again, not too difficult. That's the kind of math I expect that you should be able to do. Let's look at another one. Let's solve this thing for x. X minus 24 is 13. Clearly, I have to add 24 to both sides. And if I do that, I'm going to get x equals, and then I add that all up, 37. Again, pretty straightforward. That's the type math I will need you to be able to do in chemistry. How about this one? Solve for for x. So f equals k times x. Well, to get x by itself, I need to divide both sides by k. So if I divide both sides by k, we can do that. That's the same as multiplying by 1 over k. The k up here and the k down here cancel, and what I'm left with is f over k equals x, or x is f over k. Again, this is the kind of math I'll have to have you be able to do. I'm again assuming you can do this. I'm not a math teacher. If we want to do this one, 8 equals 7x. To solve for x, you're going to have to divide both sides by 7 in this case, or multiply by 1 over 7. When you do that, the 7 here and the 7 here cancel, and of course x equals 8 over 7. And you can leave it that way. You don't have to have it say 1 and 1/7. I don't care. This is fine. X is 8/7. How about this one? How would you solve this for x? Well, the way I would have learned to do it is to cross multiply and divide. So when you look at this one, you got x times tr equals ba times h, or BAH equals XTR. Better, right? All right, now what do we do to get the x by itself? Divide both sides by TR. If you divide both sides by TR, the TR cancels, and x equals a batter, BAH over TR. Let's see how that might look as a chemistry problem. So even though you don't know this equation or what's going on here, you could still solve this mathematically. I've given you the values for all of these particular quantities. So if I said solve for T2, the only one I didn't solve for, you could combine this thing and solve for T2. I would have cross multiplied and divided. We can get rid of the P1, V1 on both sides. And so T2 ends up being algebraically P2, V2, T1 divided by P1, V1. Now, if you've taken the time to do the algebra on the equation and you have all of the variables listed with numbers and units, I will then let you use what I call naked numbers, numbers without units, to plug in. Now, we know that T2 is going to have units of Kelvin because it's temperature. So we can plug in. I'm going to go ahead and put all the numbers in because I don't like all those naked numbers on my sheet of paper. Notice atmospheres cancels, liters cancels, and you're left with Kelvin. So if you take 0.85 times 1.43 times 373, divide by 1.08, divide by 3.22, you get 130. And again, all the units, atmosphere and liter, cancel. The only unit we have left is Kelvin, and that would be your answer. All right, let's talk about just a general procedure of how you want to solve a problem when I give you a problem in this class. First of all, read the problem carefully. Maybe read it 1, 2, even 3 times. Make sure you know what I'm asking you. Don't assume you know what the question's asking. And then write down, what do you know? What was given? And then what are you trying to find? So what's known and what's unknown. Then look up the information you might need. Maybe you need a formula. Maybe you need an equality. So you look that up, and you can find it online, your notes, your textbook, wherever you need it. Finally, work out a plan. So write down the equation, substitute in the numbers, and solve it, and see if it makes sense to you. Check over your work. Make sure you didn't make any silly mistakes, that the units truly do cancel. Does the answer seem reasonable? If I said how many days are 20 seconds, and you got 400 days, well, clearly that answer doesn't really make any sense, so you've made some mistake. Finally, what advice do I have of how to succeed in chemistry? Well, learn the language. That means know the vocabulary, understand what the words mean and how they're applied. Use the illustrations in your textbook. The PowerPoints I try to make very graphical to help you understand stuff. Draw a picture in your mind to help you understand this. Really try to think about what the stuff is saying. Review your notes frequently. Just because you went through a section once, you're still allowed to go back and review what you're unsure of. So you may have to rewatch an old video or something. That's okay. Work as many problems as humanly possible. Do the homework. If you're still not sure, look in your book. Look online. See if you can find additional problems to try to understand what's going on. And finally, don't wait to the last minute and then try to cram the night before the exam. You'll tend to cause yourself a lot of anxiety and stress and probably won't perform very well. So keep up with the class, work at a good pace, try not to be distracted with a TV or cell phone or anything else, and I think you'll be very successful. Watch those videos, ask questions when you have them, send me an email if you have a concern or a question, and I'll respond to them as best I can. Sometimes it takes me a little while to get them. If I'm recording videos, I might not see your email for a few hours, but I certainly will get back to you. All right, I wish you best of luck, and we'll get Unit 1 test done, and then we'll get into some real chemistry here, and hopefully this class will start to become a little bit more enjoyable for you. Thanks for listening. Good luck on your first test. Bye-bye.